right. Get my hand back in here. I'm now live. Hey, it still says private. I did change it. Public. Done. Maybe I forgot to hit done. All right, let's try that again. There we go. Now it's public. We are coming to you from our living room. We have a flood in the temple. Oh well. Things happen.
There we go.
Alrighty then, because you can hear me in person since you're sitting right there. So there's two of us on there now, you and me. Now we just have to wait for everybody else to show up.
I haven't been able to get my name to change on Seaman.
Well, we can just explain to people that that's your dead name. I'm sorry.
Hey, I was fighting it yesterday and
Somebody came in. I saw a third person show up.
rewatching it.
Yes, you, me, and one other person.
So cool.
Hey guys. Somebody showed up. I see them. Say hello. We are not in our temple today. Because we have a flood. One of those things you don't want to ever have to actually deal with, but there it is. Went out there an hour and a half ago and discovered our issue and had to quickly set up in our living room so that we could do our live show today and not disappoint anybody. So who is it? Who's there? Excellent connection, yes. That's a good thing. Our last video was on the summer solstice, which is coming up next week. So 21st, I think. Good. Good message.
I figured.
Yeah, why not? Shows us that it's working, considering we're in a different location than usual. So we have two other people in here now, besides you and me. Jonathan. Hi, that chair looks awesome. Yeah, this is my usual living room chair. Thank you. It's my throne in the living room. We have a flood in our temple, so we had to kind of quickly reset up everything in our living room here so we could still do our show. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. Especially from all the way over in South Africa. Are you getting ready for the winter solstice coming up next week? Same day, I'm assuming, that the summer solstice is for us. Have a drink of water. See,
It's interesting watching this play time delay.
A couple other people showed up.
Awesome.
Yay! I like it. We're actually coming without any downsizing or rescaling today, so we're doing our first high definition stream, so let us know how it goes. Yep, it's cold here. All right. It would be winter. Ryder says, hello, hope you are well. Everything is different. Yes, it's different. It's my living room. So, you know, we have a flood in our temple. We had to reset up in here rather quickly, kind of, and did a test to make sure everything was working and stuff like that. So, yeah, it took us a little bit of time to get everything ready, but I'm glad we went out there about an hour and a half before our show was supposed to air and discovered water dripping on the temple floor. So, yuck. So there's that. Not much fun. But now you get to see my living room chair. Spirit Incarnate. Hello, Siofra and Ian. Hi.
Hello.
Phoebe says, hello. I haven't been able to make a live in a long time, but always watch your vids. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Gumwad says, hello. This is my first live. Well, welcome to your first live. Dan H says, hello. Hi, Dan. Phoebe says, looks great. Good. I'm glad it's working. One of those things, it's like on our end, everything seems fine, but, you know, how do we know, right? We could be delusional. Anything's possible. So, what do you guys want to talk about today? We've got some really nice comments for Ian's video, so we really appreciate that. It's encouraged him.
Thank you all. I'm glad I was able to put something out that people enjoyed. Found useful.
Ryder says the flood from above. Yes, we're supposed to be getting a new roof pretty soon, but it hasn't happened yet. And you know, it was sort of a surprise because this is a gentle kind of rain. It's not a hard rain or anything.
Yeah, but it's been constant for
about a day.
A couple of days.
Yeah, it's been pretty constant, so I guess it finally found the entrance to the temple from above. Like, oh well, these things happen. Darn it all. Phoebe says, ooh, is there a link to his channel? You mean Ian's channel? He doesn't actually have a channel per se.
I'm thinking about building it out into one, but I haven't done so yet.
Yeah, we're just sort of consolidating our stuff here, you know, in one source kind of thing, since we live together and work together and all that other stuff. So Rita says, hi Siofra, hi Ian, hi everyone, was watching on my TV, had to grab my phone to say hello. Well, hello Rita, thank you for letting us know that you're there. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so yeah, Ian's videos are coming up as part of our channel, so you can find them when they're there. You know what we can do? We can do a special, what do you call those things? Playlist with just your videos on them.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
we'll do
probably
that.
the best idea.
Yeah, we'll do a playlist with just his videos so that you can find them with the different subjects that he's on, as well as how they fit in with everything else. So, Phoebe says, how are you doing today? Well, my hand is still sore. I still have swollen fat fingers, which are very uncomfortable. I have some ice on them right now. I'm still recovering from the shingles. I'm getting tired of it. I don't like it much. But other than that, everything's going. And, you know, of course, the roof leak, which is new. But we're doing pretty well health-wise, except for the shingles thing, which sucks. But, you know, that's the way life is. Ryder says, Ian was most inspiring and certainly for me a lot to think about because sometimes silence can be so hard when you are so excited or overflowing with emotion. You just have to get it out.
That's true. Silence can be difficult under something like that, and getting it out is the best way to reattain the silence, is to get rid of it, and which also is not so easy. That's a whole nother subject.
So Dan says, what is an easy way and effective way to protect oneself from chaotic energy? Well, I use crystals, meditation.
You missed a question from Jonathan.
Oh, well, actually, yeah, I did miss a question.
When
Sorry.
you call in the directions, what powers are you?
Sorry, let me go back to, and then I'll answer your question. When you call in the directions, what powers are you appealing to? I've heard different answers. Well, you can call in. When I did the video on the summer solstice, I specifically didn't call in the directions. I just called in the elements because everyone has different associations for the directions. Because there's a difference between like northeast, southwest, and earth, air, fire, water, you know, as an element. So with the directions, it's like, for my associations, I have air in the east, fire in the south, water in the west, and earth in the north. So I just add that to the call when I'm making it. But as far as like the elements themselves, I use the associations with Geralda, Jin, Nexa, and Gob, which are names for the heads of the elements of air, fire, water, and earth.
More ancient names than used in the Western magic stuff.
And my reason for doing that was I wanted to get away from the Christianization with all the angels and stuff like that associations, because I was trying to go to a farther back kind of a place and kind of build a relationship from there. But everyone's going to be different, so I don't know that it matters so much. Okay, so back to Dan, an easy way and effective way to protect oneself from chaotic energies. Definitely the meditations. I use crystals, like different kinds of bracelets that I have when I go out in public, and shielding. The sacred tree meditation that we put up there is really good for teaching you how to control your energy, clear your chakras, center yourself, ground yourself, and shield yourself. And so it's really useful for that, and that's definitely the reason why I developed that in the first place and used it a lot and still use it for myself. So that's what I recommend. But you can do fast and easy things like washing your hands in a restroom. If you need to try and ground yourself out, you can focus on getting rid of energy that you've accumulated that you need to get out of you right away, holding your hands under the water and letting the water drain the energy down. So, yeah. So Phoebe says, oh no, I have a lot of hand cream recommendations and avoid foods high in oxalates. Well, I do have some hand cream I'm using right now to help with the pain. And it's got the lidocaine in it, and it's helping somewhat. I'm on the end of this process, so it should be clearing up soon. At least the fingers aren't as numb as they were, but it's farthest from the nerve damage from the spine, so it takes the longest to get done. So Laura says, hello Siofra, Ian and peeps, and Ryder says back hi to her. Ian says hello Laura. Gumwad says, how do you identify a crystal from the outside? I've been having that problem for a while. Well, getting to know your stones, go to crystal stores, look at all their bins that are marked, and start to become familiar with them. I'm not sure exactly if I'm not understanding the question. So if you can think of another way of phrasing that so I can answer it better, please do. Rita says it would be cool to have that playlist available, so that's a good idea. Laura says, hi, Ryder. And Ron is Ian's name, who is a dead name, so we don't want to use his name.
Just call me Ian.
Just call him Ian. Suzanne says, hi, Siofra and Ian and everyone listening in. Need to find cake pop stuff, if still have. My daughter wants cake pops. Oh, okay. So that's good. Children are demanding. Phoebe, on the topic of health, I got sick with Morgellons, Lyme, lupus, gene issues, toxic mold. There's a lot of conspiracy around these things. What information have you gotten? Let me get to the second part of the question. In regards to diseases like that, if any, how do you balance wanting to know what's going on versus using your energy to heal? It's been rough, but I also feel like I can make a difference for others. I avoid the conspiracy theories about this kind of stuff because usually they don't lead in a good location for me, at least.
Not helpful.
Yeah. Genetics and environment are factors. There's no doubt about it. And you just have to try and figure out what's going to work best for you as far as that goes. I used herbs a lot for a lot of different things. And I also use Western medicine for certain things. It's like, it doesn't have to be either or. It can be a combination of both. But there's no way to actually just say really quickly what is the right way to go when it comes to that. Just life. Some things kill us. Some things make us sick. Some things are things we have hiding inside of us waiting to come out. So Dan says, that's great information. Thank you so much. Laura says, to hi, Suzanne. Okay, so I answered the question. Good. That was the one about chaotic energy. All right. The last of her kind says, hello. Hi. All right, so that's the best I can do to answer that. Magic and healing energy, energetic healing is good. I'm a Reiki master, so is Ian. So, taking a class on Reiki, learning how to work on yourself, not a bad idea. We do have a video on energetic healing. The way you think and how you phrase things in your own mind and your attitude towards life can make an impact on your health. But you have to watch out for sort of the idea of putting yourself down for not being perfect and toxic positivity and that kind of stuff. There's always a balance in everything. So, we're never one thing or another. We're a combination of stuff. So Jonathan says, I think the most common thing is respecting the watchers, guardians, angels of the north, south, east, and west. I can't figure out why it's so popular. It's the quintessential witchy thing. Well, actually, it's a ceremonial magic thing more than a witchy thing. And Gardner adopted that because he was a ceremonialist to start with.
The four elements and spirit, and the spirit aspect is usually the invocation of the god or goddess in witchy stuff. So you're making the pentagram with the four elements and the spirit.
Okay, so Ryder says that Suzanne, hello, hope you are having a good Sunday. Phoebe says, oh, Laura, you have no idea. Ugh. All right. Suzanne says, oh, I bought some gemstones small at a snake and animal farm I used to go to a lot in the past. Went with my daughter the other day. I've been thinking about that wand making. Oh, yeah. It's always nice to collect stones to use on your wands later. Never know. Stardust says hello. Hi, Stardust. Thank you for being here. Ophelia Oracle says, hey, beautiful. I'm glad I caught you in time. I'm just going to be listening in the shower. So we can all imagine that you're grounding yourself with the shower while we talk. Okay, that sounds like a good thing. Gumwad says you answered my question just fine. Okay, good. Because I have a very little brain, and sometimes I don't get nuances, certain kinds of nuances, the way other people might get them. So it's always fine with me if I don't answer things the way you're looking for, to tell me about it, rephrase the question, ask me again. I don't take any of that kind of stuff personally. So Laura says, well, I have breast cancer, so there's that. I'm sorry, that's a rough road. Health issues are definitely not fun. Suzanne says, hi, Ryder. Sweet to see ya. Ryder says, stay out of the sun. Gotta watch out for the sun. Armin says, hello, I'm happy to see you live for the first time. I must say, such a powerful and positive energy. Well, I'm glad to have so many new people coming in, so that's awesome. And welcome to the live show. So Suzanne says, at Laura, sending favor, love, and healing your way. We could always do some kind of a healing type of circle thing on our channel if we wanted to, where under the community setting, if you wanted people to send you energy specifically, you could put in your name and what you wanted people to focus on for your health or whatever. For me, I need to know people's name to be able to send them energy, because I don't do I just think of a person's name somewhere on the planet and I'm going to find them. I do more in the astral and mental plane, and like travel and put my energy in specific places. So if you want to do that, I'm sure there's plenty of people on our channel that would be quite willing to try and send you some healing energy. Nothing wrong with that, if you want it, of course. She said thanks to Suzanne. Ryder says, at Laura, I'm so sorry. My mother is still recovering from breast cancer. My love to you. Thanks. More healing energy to your mom. Yeah, my mother had breast cancer, and they did a radical mastectomy on her. This was many years ago. Actually, it was just around the time my daughter was born, I think, was when she had it. So, we go through the test every couple years or whatever. Phoebe says, thanks for your info. There seems to be some overlap with that and people who have experiences, but I want to focus on healing and spreading awareness. Most doctors don't even acknowledge that it's real. Well, sometimes it's like it takes them a while to be able to put the information together, and it's true. Women have a much harder time in general talking to doctors, in my experience and in my past. They often don't seem to take what we say seriously and are assuming that we're being hysterical or overemphasizing something that's not that important or whatever. And so it can be difficult to find a good doctor. So Jonathan said, cool, physical healing is a great topic. Do you make any magical medicines like Four Thieves vinegar? Well, I make Four Thieves vinegar. I don't use it though because I don't like hot stuff. And yeah, you can drink it.
Oh, I didn't know you could use medicine.
Yeah, you can. You can use it as a medicine, but it's got too many hot things in it for me
Well,
to use.
you don't like vinegar anyway.
Well,
All
I don't
that
like
stuff,
vinegar.
so-
I don't like peppers and
like
black
hot stuff,
pepper,
yeah.
and I put all kinds of really hot stuff in my Four Thieves vinegar, so it's definitely yeah, powerful stuff. So Laura says that Gardner was born today in 1881. Well, happy birthday to Gardner, I guess. I wonder if he's back, reincarnated or not. Phoebe says, and I only started to get better from doing my own research and homeopathic stuff, but I want to go back to school for it too. It's hard to balance the spiritual side versus medical school. I need practice. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like it's all about that balance, and it's difficult to come up with. Sometimes the right answers are only right for you and not for anyone else too. That's the other thing to remember. Because like, Ian and I, we have different tastes for food, and different things that work for me won't work for him and vice versa. And so, experiment as far as like herbal stuff is concerned. When we first got together, the things that would work on almost anybody that I knew would have the opposite effect on him. It was like really annoying. But his balance seems to have improved, so some of the stuff is starting to work. So yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. So Nora Zaytown says, I just found your channel and I'm so thankful. I just set up a dragon and fairy altar, and the next day I looked like my mom had elf ears. Well, awesome. And welcome to the channel. I'm so glad another new person. This is great. So Phoebe says, Laura, sending healing vibes to you if you want them. So looks like Laura is in favor of having healing vibes. All right. So Misha says, greetings. Hello, everyone. Hi, Misha. Phoebe says it's such a huge problem for people, but yes, especially women. So sad. Yes. Yes, any number of times. And when I was young, it was like at that point, you never questioned what doctors said. And, whatever they said was correct. There was no options for that. So it took me a long time to get to the point where I was able to ask good questions of physicians. So Kay Barber says, hi, Siofra, I'm a big fan, and I'm happy to see you go live. You are so kind and such an inspiration. Well, thank you, Kay, and I'm so glad that you're here. And, we do what we can. I was thinking about that today, about the complex PTSD that I came in with and how I've managed to actually heal from it, which according to so many people is not possible. But I like who I am, so that's a good thing. I consider that a positive. So
I like who you am.
yes, you are such a sweetie. So Teresa says, hi there. Hi, Teresa. Phoebe says, oh, cool, Nora, I'm shopping, finding things for an altar. At the moment, yours sounds nice. Ryder says, hi to everybody who just came in. Misha says, recently I'm getting terrible hot flashes after eating. Not fun to deal with. Is this like the kind of hot flashes that you get when you're entering menopause, or is it like a food reaction would be the first question. If it's a menopause kind of thing, I know that black cohosh worked for me, but I don't know that it happened right after eating. It was just sort of random whenever I wasn't ready for it. Ruth says, hi all. Hi, Ruth. Everybody says hello to Ruth. So Amar says, hi, Siofra, Ian, and friends. Hi, Amar. Nice to see you here. Spirit Incarnate says, I had breast cancer in 2017 and had my left breast removed. I'm doing awesome now. My spirit family told me to get myself together. I love my body the way it is now with just one breast. Well, yeah, because, it's what's in here that's the most important part anyway. And we often get so self-identified with how we look that it makes it difficult to face those challenges when things have to change. It's so good for you. That's a good positive thing. So Nora says, what is the difference between pixies and fairies? Well, I think that pixies are a type of fairy. Pixies are little, at least the ones Ian encountered. No, that was a sprite, not a pixie.
No, I said it was a fire pixie.
Okay, not a fire sprite, fire
Pixie.
pixie. Okay. Well, the fire pixie he met was little. Um, so
Yeah, like maybe like that.
yeah, like that size. So he says. So I think they're just different words for different types of fairies, and not all nature spirits are considered fae. There's like a big conversation about that, about what is and isn't a fae. Some people think of any nature spirit as being a member of the group of fae, and others don't. So Phoebe says, I've been starting to lucid dream a lot. How can I translate that into astral travel, conscious out of body traveling? Meditation doesn't seem to work for me. Um,
Well, what you need to do, if you're lucid dreaming, I'd say you're awfully close. If you know you're awake in the dream, I would say in a dream, just try going someplace that you might want to astral travel to and see how that works.
yeah, if you pick a place before you go to sleep, and you can kind of seed your dream by, like, if it's a specific location, like the Great Pyramids, or some kind of tourist thing like the Eiffel Tower or whatever that we have lots of pictures of. You can put pictures up around your room on your wall, read about it before you go to sleep, and then kind of prime yourself to, when you become lucid in your dream, that's where you want to go and see what happens. That'd be one way, maybe. Jaleesa says, hi, Siofra. Hi, everyone. Hi, Jaleesa. Laura says, hi, Amar. Ryder says, hi, Amar. Mindy Coleman says, I haven't been able to catch a live stream in a while. I am super excited to catch this one today. Hi, Siofra, and all you other beautiful souls in chat. Oh, how I've missed you. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. So, way to go. Yay. Laura says, glad you are well, Spirit Incarnate. Laura says, hi, Mindy. How have you been? Spirit Incarnate says, exactly, Siofra, and thank you, Laura. So Carmen says, I want to thank you for the advice of scrying on the black mirror you had right. Faces begin to appear. I scry every night before I go to sleep, and every time I see a new face that I don't recognize. Good. I'm glad that you asked that question, because, it is like a normal step in learning to scry, is that when everything goes away. So good for not stopping there and for asking about it, because there's more to come. So this is great. You're getting all the different faces of potentially the people that you've been in the past, and that can lead to other things in the future. Karmic Justice says, hi, everyone. Hi, Karmic Justice. Laura says, hugs, Spirit. Isha says, I'm not sure exactly. I guess it's a reaction to food. Planning on visiting family in South America. Doctors down there are more affordable, but when things are safer to do so, that is. Well, yeah, right now things are still kind of up in the air when it comes to safety from our current pandemic, like in Brazil and stuff like that. So definitely wait until it's safe. But if it is food, then you would be doing food avoidance when you figure out what the food is. So good luck figuring that out. Laura says hi to Karmic Justice. Ryder says that Carmen, that's awesome. Glad it started working for you. Yes, with the scrying. Phoebe says to Misha, I recommend probiotics. They're always good to have. We need those good bacteria living in us. Laura says, hi, Charity and Jaleesa. Mindy says, at Ryder, I've been super busy, but doing well. Thank you. Trying to integrate this chaotic energy. And Phoebe says, and magnesium for stomach issues. And always, of course, make sure that you make your own choices about that, because people can have reactions to almost anything. Charity says, I'm present for magic class. Congratulations. Is this what this is? Magic class? I guess it is. Mindy says, Siofra, do you have any suggestions for integrating these new energies coming in? Are we talking about just in general personal energies? I mean, we're always going through different energetic shifts. I mean, that's what the whole Wheel of the Year is about, and, changing energies around our planet and stuff like that. Be kind to yourself and give yourself time to adapt, and don't worry about it, because, it's like Writer says it's been pretty nuts. I actually take them, but thanks, at Phoebe. I use magnesium for muscle pain. Somewhat. It doesn't work for all of it. And actually, magnesium is probably the most benign of the electrolytes. I don't think it's actually possible to overdose on them, but if you take too much, you'll get diarrhea. Then you'll know you don't need as much as you're taking. So, it says to try black walnut. Nisha's read about it. And yes, I'm not a doctor. Yes, we have to be careful about giving medical advice on YouTube and on the internet, because they could be upset with us for that. So just want to make sure everybody's taking care of their own stuff. Aaron Jones says, hi, first time commenting. Well, hi, Aaron. Does that mean you've been on the program before, but you've just been watching and not talking to us? But yay, glad to see you. Phoebe says, Misha, it's a good against parasites too, but for me personally, it seemed to help. Laura says, hi, Erin. Carmen says, I recommend to everyone breathing techniques are wonderful and build a strong immune system. I do daily, and I must say 3 years I didn't get sick. Good. It's always good to find something that works. The writer says, hi to Erin. Mindy says, the full moon and eclipse closely together. Well, I mean, that's just sort of normal. That's why I did that video on misinformation. It's like every full moon is going to be intense to a certain extent. And every new moon is going to have its own intensity, because we're being bathed in between. On the full moon, we're being bathed between the energy of the sun and the moon. And on the new moon, it's away from us. And so it's like a lack of that. And having the moon go in front of the sun for a few minutes, for me, it doesn't significantly change the equation. The solar eclipse, the full one, when I got to see that, was pretty amazing. And very exciting, because being able to see the white light coming out of the sun was unexpected and emotional, and made me cry and scream and everything else. But I really am at a loss to understand this current wave of anxiety-producing talk on the internet about how dangerous these eclipses can be, because they're not. It's just nature in the way it is. And it almost seems like it disempowers us. It sort of tells us that there's things that we can't deal with when it comes to nature, but we're witches. And it's like, that's the whole point of being a part of nature and being able to roll with the punches and adapt. And yeah, it seems fear-mongering. So that's my take on that. So anyway, I always get some effect from the full moon, and sometimes it's more intense than other times, but it's just the way it is. So Mar says, would you say there's a difference between mediumship versus clairaudience and clairvoyance in the trance state of going in and out of sleep? Well, mediumship is more, it depends on whether it's trance mediumship or channeling. So that's different than clairaudience and clairvoyance, because mediumship is allowing your voice to be used to speak for a spirit, and channeling is being able to allow the information coming from a spirit to come through you, not necessarily in their voice, but often in their voice. So clairaudience and clairvoyance is your own personal ability to hear spirit, or see spirit, or see something coming in the future and be warned about it. So yeah, there's definite, as far as I'm concerned, distinct differences between those things. Okay, so Phoebe says, Mindy, yes, I felt the energy this month. Writer says, well, if they were good doctors that actually listened to us to begin with, we would not have to go, we would not have got so good at it. Yeah. Aaron says, I hope not in a creepy way, but I'm learning a lot. Good. Learning is a good thing. We all should be learning all the time. In fact, one of the reasons why I was never attracted to the concept of heaven or perfection was because, to me, that seemed like a place that was never moving, never changing, and you were never learning anything. And that is, like, for me, a definition of absolute death. Is like, there's nothing there. There's nothing to do, nothing to see, nothing to change. It's just kind of a weird that's my perception of it anyway. So Phoebe says, I feel like this month had a lot of energy, but my sign is also Gemini, so that could be it. Well, we're all a mix of different energies for sure. Misha says, Siofra, what is your favorite types of wood to work with for making a wand to increase personal strength? Say, lacking self-confidence, would like to help overcome unsavory aspects of myself. Well, you'd probably want to go for some of the strong woods like oak, maybe. Madrone is a good one. It's a solar wood because it would bring in like the light energy, strength, that kind of thing. That's what I would think of, but sort of explore some trees and things. My first one was a cedar, but that was because I spent so much time under this particular cedar tree, and it's like it became a friend. It was like a companion. And in Native American traditions up north, the cedar is a female tree and is good for female issues. So feelings of self-worth as a woman, it would be good for. So it depends on exactly where your feelings are coming from. Like, is it that kind of a thing, or is it feeling a lack of strength or purpose or will or what have you? So that would be some thoughts on that. So Jonathan says to Mindy, it blew my mind when I figured it out, but a lunar eclipse can only happen at full moon, and a solar eclipse can only happen at a new moon. Science for the win. Yeah, no kidding. And have you ever seen any of those movies where they have a full moon go in front of the friggin' sun to cause an eclipse? That what was the name of that movie? The one with the Lady Hawk. That was the name of the movie. It was the first time I noticed them putting a full moon in the sky with the sun at the same place, and I'm like, where is the light for the moon coming from? It's like, hello, people. But anyway, Phoebe says they will fearmonger over anything. Well, yeah. Phoebe says, yes, indeed. Intense energy has felt so draining the last 2 or 3 weeks. Laura says, thanks, Jonathan. Yes. And Phoebe says, oh, Mindy, you need a recharge. I felt more recharged spiritually, but psychically tired as well. Well, I think at any given time on the planet, some of us are going to feel energetic, some of us are going to feel exhausted. So, good to know, Mindy says to Jonathan. Misha says, first thing that comes to mind is oak. But if you can think of other types of wood, for example, there's a tree native to the West Coast. I think it's madrone. Now, that's hysterical, because, see, I said both of those things before I got to the comment. What does that say about me? Apparently, I'm right on. Okay. Without even knowing what you were thinking about. Ha ha. So Stardust says, about 2 or 3 years ago, I had 2 dreams, 2 nights in a row, where I experienced a full lifetime from a very young age up until my death. I was a pirate one night and a chimpanzee the next. I know it sounds pretty funny, but I lived full lifetimes all within 2 nights with extreme detail and gained a lot of knowledge from these experiences. I learned things I had no prior knowledge of. And with some research, they were proven to be true. Don't think these lives were necessarily my own, but that I had the pleasure of experiencing the lifetimes of others. They were wonderful experiences, even though both of these lives ended tragically. Both had amazing stories to tell. Yes, and certainly experiencing other lives can help you develop better empathy. Phoebe says, ignore if there's a video on this, but what do you know about ancient witch practices like with the Atlanteans and Mu? Well, I have memories from both places, but they're fairly vague at this point, so I probably don't have an answer. Stardust says, I was wondering if you know of a way where I can control this and maybe experience something like this again. I'm sure they weren't just lucid dreams. Well, they happen spontaneously, so that probably means that they were safe for you to have. If you try to force them to happen or make them happen, you could get yourself into a situation where it wasn't as productive as the ones that you did experience. So I don't know if it's a good idea or not. You'll have to... meditation is where I got some of my things as well as dreams. And generally speaking, later on, I only got those when I had to have information from a past life that applied to a situation I was in a current life with someone I was in a relationship with. Like with my second husband, one night I remembered him as a pirate and what happened on board the ship and so forth, and why we were tied together for a period of time, and used that information to help him let go of me as far as being able to move on, because it was not a healthy relationship in this life. It wasn't a healthy relationship in that one either, but so it's a variable kind of thing. Trinity says, with clear gifts, I stopped going to cemeteries to visit ancestors. I'm trying to find ways to protect myself. Most people don't understand the experience. Well, yeah, I mean, you have to take care of you, because they don't care. I mean, spirits aren't experiencing reality the same way we are. They don't experience day and night the way we do, time the same way either. And so, and they're not in a body, so they're not going to get tired the way we might, or overwhelmed. And so, setting boundaries and having good spiritual boundaries is extremely important, because without that, anything that comes by could just sort of pull you in any direction at all at any moment in a given time. So you have to have that self-awareness to take care of who you are and decide what you're going to do and what's safe for you to do. And maybe later you will want to go back to cemeteries when you have, a different level of control or whatever, or maybe you won't. It's the way that works. Mar says at Trinity, to elaborate, were spirits following or people were absorbing the energies there? So Amar wants more information about what happens in your experience at the cemetery. Marcus says, bet I'm too late again. Still love from London. Hi, guys. Well, you're not too late. We're actually only about halfway through our show, so you have plenty of time to hang out, say whatever. Phoebe says, synchronized. Yep. So Jaleesa says, I recently had a dream where I saw myself like a double of me. Not sure what it could mean, but I was definitely frightened in the dream. Okay. So unsettling, but nowhere to go with that.
Well, I'd say that seeing yourself in dreams or in meditation and such is considered as just a marker along the pathway. There's no, under normal circumstances, that type of thing, there's no reason to be frightened about it. That's probably about the best explanation I could give short term, but I wouldn't be concerned, because usually it's a positive thing when that happens.
It's startling, though. That's the thing.
Sure.
It's like and anything new is startling. So we have to adapt and figure out how we're going to deal with it. Evie says, ooh, I am so curious about what your memories are. I hadn't really done much research into the Lemuria, but once I did, I connected so much I must have had a past life there or something. Quite possibly. Mindy says, yes, Phoebe, you are spot on. I am running against a deadline and in need of a recharge soon. Trinity says that Amar, I hear them speaking sometimes to me, sometimes distant conversations, sometimes like loud whispers, but I can't make it out the conversations. Does that make sense? That makes sense to me. In our family, we often have that, hearing something like a radio playing far in the distance that you can't quite tune into. And I just recommend people ignore them. My granddaughter had that happening, and I was telling her, just ignore them. Don't try to hear what they're saying, because you're never going to understand what they're saying. It's like a trick kind of thing to draw you in. So Laura says, my kid's dad trimmed a crepe myrtle last fall. I came across a small limb that he cut off and came across information that it makes for a good wand. Boom, ready made for me. It was awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, crepe myrtle is more in the Southwest, I think, in the United States. The crazy guy from Texas came up with a bunch of crepe myrtle. He makes staves, I guess, out of them and sells them. Jonathan Church says, stardust. I use lapis lazuli for that stuff. Siofra is busy saying, don't force it, but I like doing it.
Well, if you're having fun, then you're not really forcing it.
Right.
I mean, as long as it's, sounds like a positive thing to me.
Misha says, I think we could all use a recharge. Amara says at Trinity, yes, definitely makes sense. This is what I was referring to with my earlier question. Laura says, hi Marcus, glad you are here. Amara says that Trinity, thanks for responding. And Trinity says, oh, I will go listen to the replay. Misha says, oh, sounds nice at Laura. What kind of energy does crepe myrtle carry? Amar says, or Trinity says that Amar, absolutely. Phoebe says, you've got this, Mindy. I like how supportive our community is with each other, and I think it's great. Because that's part of one of the things that I enjoy about the live shows is other people communicating with each other as well and supporting one another's paths. Amar at Trinity, oh no, you are good. I was LOLing because of the synchronicity. Laura says it's feminine, a water energy. Don't quote me though. As far as the myrtle, crepe myrtle goes, yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up too, but it could be.
I don't know.
And there are certainly different connotations or different associations depending on where you look stuff up and who wrote it down. I've definitely seen that happen quite a bit.
Yeah, you can figure out a certain amount though by investigating the stuff itself, like where it grows and what kind of properties it has. Is it really hard?
Is
Does
it
burn
soft?
Easily? Is it full of water?
Yeah, is it watery? Like willow is
Yeah.
clearly a watery kind of wood because it's so. And I think that rhododendron is probably a water type of wood because it's a very wet wood when you cut it.
And it grows on the coast.
Yeah, it does.
It grows
likes
in wet areas.
It likes wet areas. Okay, so Jaleesa says, good to know my dream was positive. Thank you both. Good. Glad to know that it helped. Laura says, sure, Marcus. Misha says, I intuitively feel a motherly, soft, gentle energy of the tree. So you're probably right then, if that's the case, because it's your association with the tree and its energy that's going to make a difference in how the wand works anyway. Ophelia says, hey, sorry, I was grounding in the shower, but when you mentioned sending group healing energy together, I got so happy. We should totally do a group meditation one day. Yes, absolutely.
I agree. I think that would be wonderful.
Mindy says, love, hearts. Rita said something but took it back. Julissa says, lately, when I close my eyes at night, my third eye goes crazy. Last night, I felt as though I was traveling into the astral being called, but I couldn't go in. And then I saw a blessed virgin above me. Yeah, that energy is a nice, soft kind of energy, the virgin type of energy. And my spirit guide, higher self or whatever, Moida, had that definite aspect when I saw her. And according to her, there are a group of spirits out there that share that specific kind of energy field and then interact with people that way. So Trinity says, at Omar, I'm grateful. I look forward to these conversations Siofra has with us. There are others that I can connect with. I really appreciate it. Yes. Phoebe says, do you think Lemuria is actually still active? Is it in Mount Shasta? Oh man, we went to Mount Shasta and we tried to see if we could get them to suck us in, to the tunnels or whatever, whether they be the spaceships or the White Brotherhood or whoever, but nothing happened.
Isn't that where that nice half-mile tunnel was, though?
Yes, we did actually find a tunnel, a tube outside of Mount Shasta. It was called Half Mile Tube, which was a wonderful experience. It was very surface lava tube, and in it, there was this golden lichen that when you shined a light on it, it looked like a gilded church. It was like
the
gold.
Walls were gilded.
Yeah, like the walls were covered with gild. And then in a different part of the tube, I started seeing these golden eyes, and I realized that they were these moths that were actually on the walls of the tunnel. And I thought they were dead at first, but then the wings started moving on some of them. And then we looked down and realized that we were standing in a floor of wing moths that had been there for who knows hundreds of years, where they had come into the tube and then died and fell down onto it. It was like coming up this sort of dusty.
Yeah, so apparently that was their place, and it's it was one of these places that's a little hidden, and you can only really find if you know cavers because they're protective of it.
And you know how to read a map and figure out what the marks mean.
That too.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool, but we didn't experience anything else at Mount Shasta as far as that went. I love the place. I mean, I've been to 2 different sweat lodges in Panther Meadows on Mount Shasta, um, some years apart, and yeah, the energy there is definitely quite phenomenal. But no encounters with any Lemurians or aliens or the White Brotherhood or the other groups of people who are supposed to be there. So, and I didn't get to go to another reality. Oh well. Ryder says, was laying in the meadow again today, catching the sun, some beautiful old trees on its border. Was laying there listening to a nightingale, very relaxing. Oh, that sounds lovely. I love being outside. And he says, aw, thanks, Phoenix. Good question, by the way. Or Phoebe, excuse me. Phoebe says, I like the group healing idea at the end. Rita says, been hearing spirits, can only see them through my third eye, can sense their general location. Is there something you have heard of before? Is there anything I can do to actually see them? Well, I find for myself that it's easier for me to see them with my eyes closed than with my eyes open, because eyesight itself is distracting. So you can practice in dim lighting where you don't have too many distractions, when you know that there's one around, to see if you can allow yourself to see it. Being able to see my own aura now with the colors that are around it has been a huge breakthrough as far as allowing myself to see things like I did when I was a kid. So, part of it can be an unconscious need to block that, because then there's this energetic kind of shakeup in your whole system when you actually see them straight in front of you. But other times it's not like that. Like when I saw Moida the first time, it was very calm and relaxing and not scary at all, but I didn't do it on purpose. It just sort of happened. So I don't know. You got any ideas on that?
As far as
being able to see spirits?
Well, mostly it's
with your
trying.
eyes open.
It's the practice thing, where don't make it an issue, but just keep that in some part of your mind. Want to see them and just let it happen naturally and see if your abilities develop. There are methods for developing things like that. Mostly my own stuff has not come from purposely trying to develop abilities. It's just they have come as side effects of the meditational and magical practices I was doing.
Yeah, because the more balanced you are, the better those things will happen in the right time, the right framework. Apparently I made myself cough when I drank my water.
Sorry.
I hate that when I get the water going down not quite the right way, and it kind of makes it feel dry. All right. And so Phoebe said, thanks, Mindy. Jonathan says, yes, Siofra, best spiritual community I've ever known, and I've been part of many. Everyone here, you're awesome. I gotta make that thing go down now. It's not cooperating. You people are great. Yes.
Thank you, John.
So Phoebe says, also, I had a semi-lucid dream that the giants were around, but in large redwood trees. Well, that they would fit. I had a vision of the ice giants when I lived up north, when I was in a house that was like extremely cold, and it was -40 out and very windy, and the timbers were creaking and the wind was yelling, and it was just me and this tiny little fire in the middle of this cabin. And I thought, yep, I can believe in ice giants. it's like they were out there breathing on this little cabin and trying to put out this tiny little fire, which was the only thing keeping me alive. So Phoebe says, that sounds crazy. There's some great energy in Lake Shasta too. Laura says, Signs and Symbol Source book by Adele Nazardar is a great book, chock full of information about mundane and occult things. That's where I saw the information about crepe myrtle. Good to have sources. Trinity says, I'm grateful. He says, maybe just Sasquatch? Yeah.
I haven't met Sasquatch either.
No, although we stayed at that one hotel down in Northern California when we did that one paranormal investigation that had a cage for a Sasquatch in its back So when they were ready, so when someone caught it, they could put it in there. It was,
Question.
any recommendations for how to find out about my past lives? Not sure how this is done. Well, that's the thing. It's like,
Do you want to, it happens naturally at some point in your development that you remember them. It's a good question as to whether you want to try to or not.
it can cause some severe psychological trauma for some people, because when you do start remembering your past lives, they're not all fun and games. In fact, most of them are not. Most of them are not fun, to say the least. And when you remember them fully, you remember all the feelings that are associated with those experiences that you've had. And sometimes you find out that you were not a very good person. You were not a nice person. You were someone that you wouldn't have wanted to know. And that is an extreme cognitive dissonant kind of experience for people.
I would say if a person can be totally at ease, everything that happened to them in their current life, then they're okay exploring past lives. But I don't know very many people that I still have issues that bother me that happened from childhood, etc. And if you're doing it right, this is supposed to be your furthest life with the furthest development you've made, so all the previous ones are likely to be less developed and making more mistakes.
I mean, it can
Perhaps.
be, maybe, it can be entertaining and interesting in an abstract sense, but according to Moida, who seemed to know what she was talking about, and other literature that has confirmed that later, is like each one of us is born with a bud that contains all of our memories and all of our past lives in that bud. And if we don't force it, it will eventually, when it's ready, when it's the right time, that bud will open up, and then we will remember things because it happens naturally. If you try to force it open before it's time, my mother had a friend who did a past life regression years back in DC, and didn't come back to herself for 2 years. She came back as a different personality. She came back as the past life that she was remembering, and had a sort of a psychotic break. So it's not something to just fool around with when it comes to that. And the other thing is that the impetus for doing it is like interesting. You could learn something about history from a first person perspective and so forth, but is it to escape the life you're in now because you're not really happy with where you are? Or, there's all these things to consider. So I didn't try to remember my past lives for the most part. I mean, I was born remembering 2 of them, and so that was a given. And I didn't really think about those potential consequences when I was doing past life regressions and having them done on me. But they seemed to work okay with me because of the channeling that I'd been doing, and I was more ready to accept a wide range of unusual and strange experiences that I couldn't anticipate. But yeah, there were some interesting ones that happened where I was very reluctant to tell the person who was doing the guided thing what was going on. I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not talking. I'm not telling you this stuff. Forget it. So, so Stardust says, I can sometimes hear a distant TV or radio, especially when I'm alone and trying to sleep and can never make out a word they're saying. Yeah, that's just a trick. That's a trap. They never actually come in clear. At least I haven't had that happen. Misha says, the closest I've been to Mount Shasta was when I visited Ashland, Oregon in 2018. It was only an hour away and could feel its energies. Want to go back. Well, we actually lived in Medford. That's where we met. And so Medford's only a half an hour from Ashland.
Something like that, yeah.
And he worked in Ashland, actually. So Mount Ashland itself has got its own unique energy and has like a Tibetan monastery on it, which is kind of cool, too. Stardust says, I just thought that I've taken too many psychedelics throughout my life. Yeah, well, according to the governing bodies that determine such things, I'm insane because I've had more than, is it 3 hits of acid or something like that? Like, okay, so I'm clinically insane according to them. Phoebe says, I want to go camping at Mount Shasta this summer. I'm in the Bay. Oh, yeah, that would be lovely. Jonathan says, especially you, Ryder. Hope you play your cards right and Ian gives you back your spanner that you had for 2 minutes last week. What?
Currently, I had.
Oh, she was a moderator for a minute?
Apparently.
Oh, okay. I don't know how that happened. Phoebe says, I like Phoenix.
But I didn't take it. I didn't take anything from anybody.
No, we don't know how that happened. Misha said, had many synchronicities out there. Carmen says, I feel to share a weird dream too. I become myself a spider in one dream, and I felt in a way different as I know myself. Very powerful, patient, and in control. Is weird because I have a phobia. So that's interesting. If you have a phobia against spiders and you jump to a spider, that seems like a positive thing. To, feel the power of a spider.
Sounds interesting.
Jonathan says, I know how weird that was. How weird was that? Says Ryder, it was magical. Yeah, okay then. Whoops. Did I miss somebody? Okay. Phoebe says, oh my god, why didn't I ever think of trying to close my eyes to see spirits and auras? I can see my dog's auras when I get close my head to his and close my eyes, but I haven't tried that on anyone else. Well, there you go. We answer all these questions. So, Iana Lopes, or Lana Lopes, I am able to hear but not see and wouldn't like to see. You're able to hear spirits but not see them. And yeah, some people aren't comfortable with seeing them, so, and that's perfectly okay.
Some of them aren't pretty.
Well, there's that. So, Misha says, that's so interesting, Carmen. Maybe it's to help you overcome the phobia. Spiders have so much wisdom to teach us. That's what I was thinking. Phoebe says, cool, Carmen. I've had so many weird ones lately, but a lot about trying to refine my abilities, which are different in dream than I thought. Mindy Coleman says, wow, Carmen, intense. I am not a fan of spiders myself. heebie-jeebies just overcame me. Sorry. Yeah, Ian doesn't care much for insects either. And I'm okay with them so long as they don't crawl on me. If they crawl on me, that's it. I'm crazy and hitting things right and left. It's like, don't tickle me. Misha says, I've been told I had spider and bat energy around me. I love bats. They are so adorable. Yeah, bats are cute. They're nice. Phoebe says, the lesson I get is just imagine it as you want it, and it will be. Lena says, clairaudience. Yes. Phoebe says, Iceland has ice giants for sure.
Ryder managed to come up with some bat and
Oh, wow. Ian had a bat, circle around his head and dive bomb him in broad daylight once. That was very entertaining. Misha said, ooh, Iceland, did you know they have fairy school there? Yes, and you can take home a certificate. I would love to go one day, so would I.
That's pretty cool.
That is one of the places because they still believe in fairies, and everyone there has seen at least one throughout their lives from the time they were kids. And, there's no question about whether they are real or not. Cage for the big fella? No way. That would be the Sasquatch.
Yep.
Phoebe says, oh my god, why did I miss that, Misha? I got to go back again in my lifetime, so it's actually magical. Misha says, no problem, Carmen. I used to dislike spiders too, especially the small ones. I'd kill them in an instant, but now I have more respect. And if I see one, I try to catch it and let it outside. Well, I know that they're good in your garden. I'm fine with them being outside. As they catch the bad insects you don't want to have eating your plants, so. Ryder says, no wonder Bigfoot stays away. Who wants to be in a cage when the whole world is your garden and home? No kidding. Right, Ryder. He says, oh my god. Oh no, I went down. Phoebe says, right, Ryder. Our DNA carries memories too. That's true. It's kind of cellular DNA, or cellular memory is an interesting thing. They've had some instances of that with people who have organ transplants, where they actually have memories from the person whose organ it used to belong to, and sometimes take on parts of their personality and their likes and dislikes, which is sort of interesting. Misha says that Phoebe, let's take everyone on a field trip together. Well, those of us who live closer to each other might be able to accomplish something like that, but it might be difficult for like Jonathan, who's in South Africa. Phoebe says, yes, Misha, 4th of July weekend, so my doggy can get away from all the fireworks in East Oakland. Carmen says, yes, Misha, that will be great. Right, leave the biggies alone. Probably one of many reasons they hide from us. Poor Sasquatches. Phoebe says, I found healing in my past life stuff, realizing it's deeper than just my issues. Made me feel less crazy, and my issues made way more sense. So it gave you an overview, which is one of the things that it can do for you. Is it give you a sense of overview, which is can be a positive.
It can be positive if you're ready for it.
Yeah. The writer says that, Phoebe, could you explain in what context you are saying right? People keep saying it at me these past few days. It does not make any sense to me from a grandma standpoint. It must be my age. Oops. I think it's going backwards. All right. Whoops. No, don't do that. I do not need that weird thing to come up. Rita says, thanks for your answers. Very helpful. Phoebe says, oh, about caging Bigfoot. I don't think that it's big feet. Charity says, thank you all for making your videos. I like tuning in, especially on Sundays. I get lonely occasionally, so this is fun.
Thank you, Charity.
It's nice to know you're not alone in the world, that there are others out there that are not dissimilar to you. Ryder said, I could say something as simple as, went out for a walk today and the sky was so blue, and some random person will respond with, right. And I'm like, what? Okay. Laura says, yes, this good company. Charity says, all my family lives in other states or in another town not too far. Nisha says, that's a really important perspective on past lives, that they weren't all fun and games. Thank you. Hi, Nisha. I know you're only here for a second. Glad to see that you dropped in to say hi. Ryder says, at Phoebe, okay, I just thought I would ask. Spiders are the good guys. They get rid of the bad insects. Such amazing people here, says Carmen. Laura says, maybe it was Grandpa Munster, Ian? Mara says at Phoebe, right, I like to leave their webs up, also natural decoration. Well, yeah, their webs can be pretty spectacular to look at. I mean, especially, when they get those pictures of the dew on the web with the sun shining through at just the right angle to make them all sparkle like they're stars. I like that. G Little says, hi, just tuning in from Detroit. Hi, G, how you doing? Phoebe says, I agree, Carmen, you too. Amar says, hi, G. Love it, Amar. Ryder says, oh, now that makes sense. Laugh out loud. Right. Okay. Misha, in Florida, we have banana spiders. Oh, they are huge, but are harmless. As long as it's not on my face, I think I'm good. Yeah, banana spiders sound like they're tarantulas.
Yeah, I'm not fond of big spiders myself.
Laura says, I have little green spiders making webs in my garden. They are catching flies. They are hired. We have very, very fast black spiders. They like run. They're like, you go through the grass and all of a sudden it's like you got 50 of them flying in every direction from where you're stepping. And you just go like, whoa. Okay. Phoebe says, yeah, I saw a video about a guy whose music taste changed dramatically after a heart transplant.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was actually probably the most interesting case was the woman who got someone's eye and then found the person who killed the woman that she got the eye from. She remembered
crazy stuff.
That was absolutely crazy, but it was a true story. So unless they made it up and said it was a true story, which they do sometimes, which really annoys me. So Phoebe says, Ryder, it means we agree with you. Carmen says, Phoebe, I must say the interpretation of dreams always to make based on your feelings and keep a journal to record. Jonathan says, go on a field trip without me. I'll vicariously through everyone who goes after the fact. Phoebe says, what is your opinion on using music, dance to connect instead of sitting down meditation? Well, music is its own form of meditation, and so is dance, so is drumming, so
Yeah,
is singing and songs and
it's all
chanting.
excellent, excellent ideas, especially if you're drawn towards the artistic forms, using those in a magical, meditational sense or spiritual sense is really quite wonderful.
Yeah, it really depends on you and how you're put together, how your brain works and stuff like that as to what's going to be the best uh, approach and technique to use to get you in a meditative state. So, in painting, Ian's using painting right now as a form of meditation. And, it's like anything can become a meditation. Walking can be a meditation. Petting a cat. I mean, it doesn't have to be this structured kind of thing. It's the idea is being present and in what's happening and totally immersed in the experience, that allows you to make those kind of connections. But I think
I agree.
Misha says dance can induce trance. Definitely. Those whirling dervishes, those guys are amazing. Don't know how they don't fall down, but they're in a trance when they're dancing. So, and certainly there's lots of other cultures that use dance in order to get people into an ecstatic state, whether it's the, like the bimbe that I was at with that kind of dancing, or whether it's, in a club setting. I mean, it sort of, I think, gets you out of your head, and that's what meditation is for, is to find a way to help you get out of your head. So anything that can get you out of your head and allow you to just be in the moment and be present is going to be a worthwhile technique.
Yeah, I'd say that's the most important thing too. If you're if you're dancing, just be dancing. Don't do anything else. Just be present. Be that 100%.
Yep.
As much as you can.
And Phoebe says, thanks, Carmen. I always forget to write them down. The dreams. Misha says, in certain traditions, such as Native Americans, come back here, they dance around the fire with the drumming to help commune with the spirits. And the Sufi, yeah, they dance too. That's true. And there's all sorts of different methods for that kind of stuff. And trance work, drums and dancing is definitely a good part of trance work. Phoebe says, oh my God, I saw a huge all-white spider last month when it rained. I didn't know they existed. Must have been. Oh.
I don't know anything about white spider.
Well, anything that's completely pure white is an albino, usually. It's born without color. But maybe there are actual white spiders. It doesn't seem like it'd be a good adaptation, though, for hiding in things, unless you only spent all your time on a white flower. Phoebe says, I am too focused on getting meditation right, I think. That's probably true. I mean, a lot of times we end up doing that kind of thing is we have like this list of things that we're supposed to be accomplishing and how we're supposed to be doing it. And if we focus so much on trying to accomplish it a specific way, we miss the other ways that we could accomplish the same thing with less effort. So.
Yeah, you can accidentally avoid the things that come natural to you by trying to force yourself into a certain mold.
Carmen says candle meditation is a good beginning. Laura says check out Cloud Eagle on YouTube, guys. It's a family of drummers. I think they are Hopi. Very healing and uplifting. Joey D says I've definitely felt like I've connected with the divine while dancing. For me, it's definitely a form of worship, celebration of the divine. And certainly I've had that experience as well. Aura dancing from when I remembered one of the lives I remembered when I was born was all about that connection and stuff. Trinity says she obtained someone's eye and found the murderer. Oh, wow. Yeah, that was pretty strange. So Carmen says, what's your opinion on Ouija boards? I used them in the past. I don't need them anymore because the lines of communication are open. It depends on where you're at and what you're afraid of as to how they're going to work or whether they're going to be bad for you.
I don't really have a problem with them myself, but then I don't have a great desire to use them either.
Yeah. I think that people's personal beliefs, their unconscious belief systems, can get them in trouble because if they've absorbed that stuff from watching TV shows or movies or stuff like that, or people talking in their ear telling them that they're going to open up a portal and they can't close it and bad things will happen, that if they have that mindset when they're using it, then that's probably what will happen. because it's definitely one of those things where, you know, creating your own reality is a real thing. So knowing yourself is definitely important when it comes to using that kind of stuff. Jonathan says that Phoebe, I'm on Carmen's side with this one. Maybe figure out how to get yourself to keep a dream journal. And if you want anything in this messy life to be just right, it's only holding yourself back. Writer Trinity says the drum works amazing for me. Laura thought that Carmen had a good question. Misha says, I have a drum, would love to use it more often, but living in the city would annoy the neighbors. I named her Starlight. That's a nice name for a drum. Has a gorgeous pattern that looks like a night sky. Well, perfect. Carmen says, 5 minutes, just concentrate on flame candle. Writer says that Carmen, gazing flame, good idea. Where did it go? There we are. My favorite too. Phoebe says, thanks Jonathan, such good advice. I've been waiting to set up my altar and do actual spells till I feel like I get energy work and meditation better first, but that's like forcing it. Laura says, we used to drum on pots and pans in the house, brought the neighbors out. Well, I use that technique when I'm banishing negative energy from a house. If the kids are there, getting them to do the pots and pans works just perfect. And why not? Jonathan says, brilliant, Carmen. You're my new meditation person. Very insightful. Agree with Ryder, Misha says. Phoebe says, in my dream, when I try to do things magically, I always struggle, but I can create a whole world and do anything when I just let it be as I want. And Ian says at Carmen, that is known as Trataka in the Hindu yogic stuff. Did I say that right? More or less, okay.
Probably. Prataka.
Trataka.
I don't know how to.
All right. Philippa says, oh, I'm very late. Hello, everyone. Hello, Philippa. Whoops. The thing is doing its thing to me again. Come back here. You want to use a Ouija board, should you cast a circle around it, or would it matter? Depends upon your experience and your point of view. Nothing wrong with casting a circle to make sure that you feel safe.
Yeah, it would certainly be the Western Hermetic way of doing things, would be cast a circle around it, and generally recommended, but not required in every instance. But if you want to make sure you're safe, you betcha.
Yeah. I cast a circle around my bed every night and around the house too, so, you know, just because. Ryder says that Misha sounds lovely. Take her out of the city every so often to a quiet spot or to a park. People may look at you strange, but you won't care when you are in a different state. The drum. And Marcus says, I thought I was late. Well, yeah, a little bit, but not too bad. I mean, we still got almost 15 minutes. Laura says, hi, Philippa. Phoebe says, what is your opinion on being ready for spell work and more advanced kind of magic things? Okay, so for me, getting into magic was about healing myself and learning how to become who I wanted to be. So I never really focused on spell work or what we think of as spell work, like, you know, trying to get someone to do something, this or that or whatever. I focused on self-healing, meditations, working with those parts of myself. And I only do spells when the need arises. I mean, if something in my life is something is going awry, or someone that I care about has got an issue that I think spell work would help with, then I do it. But it's not like I do it all the time. And so if you don't feel ready to do it, then it's probably a good idea not to do it. Because again, that internal dialogue that you have with yourself, if it's in there and it says you're going to do a spell, it's going to go bad, it's going to cause you problems, then when you do the spell, it's going to go bad and it's going to cause you problems. It's like you have to have developed that sense of personal authority and acceptance of where you're at and understanding of the processes that you're using, and not have that inner voice trying to undermine everything you're doing. So, and we all make mistakes. I mean, I think everybody at some point has tried a love spell, and I wasn't any different from anyone else. I tried it once, and then the question becomes, does this person actually love me, Or are they only here because I did a spell? So how do I know that it's real? And then if they find out about it, it's like, how do they know that it's real? Is it real at all? And so, thinking things through, being logical a little bit about it. So Carmen says, writer is true, build a strong concentration is important in magic. And Amar says, great advice on the drum. Phoebe says, I love that, working on healing too. This just confirms I'm doing the right thing. I just can't expect things to happen right now. Jonathan says, great question, Phoebe. I would love a video on how to know you are ready for different stuff. For example, are you ready to investigate past lives, ready to contact a god, a demon? When are you ready to scry? It's a good question because it's going to be different for everybody. That's the thing. It's a self-determination process. And if you do it too soon, you sort of figure it out. Writer says that Amar was playing on top of a small hill once. No one was around when I started. After I finished playing, I opened my eyes. There was a small group of people filming me at the bottom of the hill. Well, I guess it's good you had your eyes closed. That would have made me feel self-conscious.
Probably.
Phoebe says, I feel more comfortable with where I am now, but I'm in a real transition period. I'm not really nervous myself, except I hear so many warnings about being ready for opening up more. Well, again, there's that dialogue out there that's trying to disempower our abilities. I mean, it's like there's nothing wrong with making a mistake. Most of these things, they're not going to be life-threatening. They might be chaotic for a period of time, but if you learn something from the experience, it hasn't been a waste of time. That's kind of been my attitude with all the horrible things that have happened to me in my childhood and my young adulthood. I figure that the worst thing I could do would be not to learn something from them, because then they would have absolutely no point whatsoever. And if I can learn something from it about a better way to be, or a way to, make sure that I'm not going to put myself in that kind of a position again, then I've gotten something valuable out of the experience, regardless of whether it was a good experience or not. So sometimes it's just all about your attitude, how you choose to look at things, and there's no straight answer to any of these questions, really, when it comes down to it. Mar says, SMH and LOL. People and their cameras. Misha says, I wouldn't like people filming me without my permission. Eek. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, but, I think you're ready when you feel ready. Just do it. That's right. If the need comes up, then you'll be wanting to do it because you feel that you need to have some control. And doing magic, either just for self-development or for spell work, is a way to help us feel like we have some control over the situation that we're in. It gives us a different level of accountability and control over what's going on around us. And in itself, that can be a very positive thing, to be proactive about dealing with a situation. And there's no reason not to add all the other things to it. I mean, physical stuff, if it requires, some authority on this plane of existence or whatever to assist with a situation or what have you, as well as the other stuff, because, the better aligned you are in yourself and in all your different planes of existence, the more capable you'll be of dealing with whatever a situation might have. And so, yeah, it's one of the things I like. Empowerment. I love your attitude. Writer says, Edamar, I hope it was good. Laura says, take your time, Phoebe. This isn't a relay race. This is true, and it's not a competition. Carmen says, yes, we should hear our intuition. Amar says, at Misha, laughing. Misha says, I think in the end we hold ourselves back, as humans, that is. Well, that's probably true. And being afraid of failure or afraid of success, both ends of the same spectrum, can limit our ability to experiment or explore and become more who we are. Phoebe says, for sure, Laura, I feel like I'm not going into it with selfish intentions and to heal my body and soul, so that intention can't bring anything crazy. Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself, though, so selfish intentions. If it's to take care of you and become a better person, I don't consider that a bad thing. So Phoebe says, totally, Misha. I don't do so much because I don't think I can, or I'm not good enough or special enough, etc. Jonathan says, this sucks. I'm really enjoying this topic and we're almost finished. My first 2 attractiveness potions sucked. Third one, okay. Aid is magical. At Misha, we are the only ones that hold us back in the end. Yes, Jonathan, it's gone too fast. Laura says, yes, Phoebe, we have things going on in the 3D. Writer says, probably a one-hit wonder on the internet. Crazy lady playing drum. I was not even aware of them, and that is not like me to not be aware of what is near me in my environment was tranced out. Which is actually a good indication of how much you were into what you were doing.
Sounds
which
like
is
a positive experience.
Absolutely. It seems like an awesome thing. Lana says, what kind of magic would be great to liberate a person from long-term depression? Depression is a complicated process, so
That's a tough.
yeah, and you know, it's not just a magical situation, because depression can be a physical, chemical imbalance in the brain. You can use magical means to assist, to help you out of depression, like going outside, sitting underneath a tree, watching the sky, either in the day or the night, getting involved in something that's outside of yourself, like going out and helping other people or volunteering for something. And the magical stuff would be the things like, self-empowering kinds of things to help you with that and to try and change that inner dialogue that you have. Because and therapy, not a bad thing either, because that can help. Sometimes medication is needed. And the thing is that, some people have this purist attitude here. It's like, if you can't do it all with magic, if you have to use medication or doctors or something like that, somehow you failed as a witch. And I call crock. That's just ridiculous. Because we've got a body. We're in a body. We're not just spirit. And comes with the body comes all the things that are associated with the body, with our history, with our ancestors, with our DNA line, with our environment where we happen to be born, with all of those things involved. And, it's not one thing or another. It's like, so, yeah.
Of course, that's what one of the things enlightenment is set out to achieve, but then that's not so easy to achieve.
Yeah, if you're enlightened, you wouldn't be depressed, right?
Exactly.
Therefore, if you're depressed, then you're not enlightened, so there you go.
Become enlightened, that's the moral of the story.
Misha
At least
thought,
that's my approach, my attempt.
yeah, Misha said, good question, Lana. But spending time in nature helps, though, at least for me. Yes.
Does
And
for me, too.
it definitely helps
Yeah.
for me, too. It helps to get me more out of myself and into the environment and connected. Philippa says, meditation has helped so much to lift my depression and motivate me. And Laura says, you are worthy, Phoebe. We find this path because it's here for us. Carmen says, wish everyone's a good day and positive experience. In Germany, it's 21 minutes after midnight. And I must go to sleep. Thank you. Goodbye, Carmen. Thank you for coming. Writer says that Philippa, hope you have a good week. Mara says, good night, Carmen. And we've got like 2 minutes left before we're at our 1.5 hour mark. And Phoebe says, thanks, Laura. I needed that today. And everyone's saying good night to Carmen. Sweet dreams. So I think that this has been a great
Absolutely.
show today.
I think it would be great to do some group meditation or something like that, or a healing.
Well,
you work on that.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, with the sacred tree meditation and the healing chant, if we were all doing that together, that's a possibility that we could do that. And I participated in one of those once, which was kind of interesting.
Might be nice to do, just.
Yeah. And then anybody who wanted healing could put their name in the center or whatever, and we could just visualize sending them the energy and whatnot. It'd be interesting to see what sort of results we got. So Catherine says goodbye. Goodbye, Catherine. Okay, guys, I guess I have to get going. At least we were able to reset up in our living room so we could still do this. Now we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with the ceiling in the temple. Night all, Ruth says. Yes, went so quickly. Yes, it did. Okay, guys. So everybody have yourself a wonderful week, and don't forget to send in any questions that you might have. The writer says, thank you, Siofra, for tonight. Thank you to Ian and everyone here. It's been great. Suzanne says, still listening and enjoying, although I got a few frustration moments here at my house. Well, you can always listen to it again. Aisha says, bye. Ian says, great chat. Thanks all. Everybody's like, good night. Thank you so much for your time and advice. You're welcome. Happy trails, everyone. That sounds like a good place. All right, guys. Okay, so we'll talk to you all later on the site, and have yourselves a blessed day and enjoy whatever comes next. Bye bye.